Committing to God's path every day is not just a religious practice, it's a lifestyle. It's waking up each morning and choosing, once again, to surrender your plans, your worries, your fears, and your ambitions to a God who sees further than you do, who knows you more deeply than anyone else, and who loves you unconditionally. It's deciding, before the day even begins, that His way is better than your way. That His timing is wiser than your deadlines. That His strength is more than enough for your weakness. This kind of commitment isn't passive, it's active, intentional, and deeply personal. It's saying yes to God again and again, even when life is hard, even when you feel tired, even when you're not sure what tomorrow holds. It's choosing faith over fear, trust over control, and hope over despair. When you make that choice consistently, it begins to change you, not just in theory, but in reality. You start to think differently. You start to speak differently. You begin to see people through eyes of grace, not judgment. You begin to view challenges as opportunities, not punishments. You begin to understand that joy isn't something you chase, it's something you carry when you walk closely with God. This journey isn't just about checking off spiritual tasks. It's not about being perfect or performing for approval. It's about relationship. It's about abiding in God, dwelling with Him, leaning on Him, letting Him guide your every step. And the beauty of that relationship is that it doesn't just touch your soul, it spills into every corner of your life. Your relationships begin to heal. Your priorities begin to shift. Your decisions become clearer. You begin to experience peace that doesn't make sense in worldly terms, a kind of peace that holds you together when everything around you feels like it's falling apart. You realize that you are no longer walking alone. But let's be honest, this path is not always easy. There are days when distractions feel stronger than your devotion. Days when you'd rather scroll your phone than open your Bible. Days when you feel more connected to the chaos of the world than the still, small voice of God. We live in a culture of noise, where success is measured by speed and volume, and where spirituality is often sidelined in favor of productivity. It's so easy to get swept up in the demands of life, deadlines, social media, bills, obligations, family pressure, and forget to nurture the very relationship that sustains you. You might start off strong, with morning prayers and evening devotionals, but slowly those habits fade as the noise creeps in. Then come the moments of doubt. The questions. The quiet whispers in your mind saying, "You're not doing enough. You're failing at faith. You'll never be like those strong Christians you admire." But let me tell you something, God never asked you to be perfect. He asked you to be present. To keep showing up. To bring your messy, uncertain, imperfect self to Him every day and say, "Here I am, Lord. Lead me." Because faith is not a straight line. It's a daily return. A daily recalibration. A daily choice to believe even when you don't feel it, to trust even when it hurts, to stay even when it's hard. And in that choice, day after day, you are transformed. It doesn't happen all at once. It's subtle at first. You'll notice you're a little more patient with your spouse. A little more kind to the coworker who gets on your nerves. A little more peaceful in the middle of chaos. A little more hopeful, even when you can't see the way forward. And over time, those little changes add up to a big transformation. I remember a season in my own life where I felt completely lost. I was chasing everything the world told me would bring happiness, money, recognition, status, but I was empty inside. I had all the markers of success, but none of the peace. I felt like I was running on a treadmill, always moving, never arriving. Until one day, I broke. And in that breaking, I turned to God, not with eloquent prayers or perfect words, but with a tired heart that whispered, "I can't do this without you." In that moment, so simple, so raw, was the beginning of real change. I started small. 10 minutes in the Word. A short prayer before bed. A whispered thank you in the morning. And slowly, I began to notice God everywhere. In the sunrise. In the silence. In the unexpected kindness of a stranger. And I realized that life with God wasn't about escaping pain, but about being carried through it. That kind of life, rooted in daily surrender, gave me strength I didn't know I had. It gave me clarity in confusion, courage in fear, and joy even in sorrow. And I believe that same transformation is available to anyone who commits, even in weakness, to walk with God each day. But we have to guard that commitment. Because the world will try to pull us away. People will question your faith. Circumstances will test your resolve. Even your own thoughts can become the enemy when fear, doubt, and insecurity creep in. That's why it's so important to create rhythms of renewal in your life. Maybe it's a daily walk where you talk with God. Maybe it's journaling your prayers. Maybe it's setting reminders on your phone to pause and breathe and reconnect. Maybe it's joining a group of believers who will speak life into you when you feel dry. Whatever it looks like for you, protect it. Prioritize it. Because your spiritual health affects everything, your peace, your purpose, your identity, your relationships. And don't underestimate the power of gratitude. Taking time each day to thank God for even the smallest things shifts your focus from what's lacking to what's abundant. Gratitude turns ordinary moments into sacred ones. It teaches your heart to trust, even when life doesn't look the way you hoped. Service is another powerful way to stay aligned. When you step outside of yourself to love and serve others, you encounter God in a real, tangible way. You reflect His heart. You become His hands and feet. And in that giving, you receive so much more than you give. There's something sacred about pouring into others, especially when you don't feel like you have much to give. It reminds you that God isn't limited by your strength, He works through your surrender. And the more you give Him room to move, the more you'll see Him show up. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to have your life perfectly together. You just have to show up, one day at a time, and say, God, I'm yours. And trust that He will take your small yes and do something beautiful with it. Because that's what God does. He takes ordinary people with messy stories and uses them to write redemption. He takes broken pieces and creates masterpieces. He takes fear and turns it into faith. He takes confusion and gives it purpose. When you commit to walking with Him each day, you begin to discover who you really are, not who the world says you should be, but who He created you to be. You begin to feel peace that doesn't make sense, joy that runs deeper than your circumstances, and strength that rises up when you thought you had nothing left. This is the power of daily commitment. It doesn't always look impressive from the outside. But inside, it's building something unshakable. A faith that endures. A love that overflows. A life that reflects heaven even in the middle of a broken world. So wherever you are on your journey, whether you're just beginning, starting over, or trying to hold on, I want you to know this: you're not alone. God is with you. He's for you. He's not waiting for you to become perfect. He's inviting you to come as you are and walk with Him. And if you've been inspired by this message, I encourage you to share it with someone else. You never know whose life could be changed by hearing that it's okay to begin again. That it's not too late. That God is still writing beautiful stories in the lives of those who trust Him. Don't give up. Don't let the noise of the world drown out the voice of God. Choose Him, today, tomorrow, and every day after. And watch as your life is transformed from the inside out.